pervading the spiritual path and the spiritual communities, I find so many concepts, notions and ideas that simply aren't serving, and a lot of the time actually cause misunderstandings in lots of spiritual seekers, and as a result prolongs the unnecessary suffering that we as humans experience a lot of the time. So for this video, I want to cover the bare basics of the desire or the seeking, the wanting to clear our mind. To clear our mind of thinking, and particularly the negative thinking that so many people in the spiritual community seem to oppose. Because they think that the culprit of their suffering is the thoughts themselves, is the negative thoughts themselves. And you see, the issue I take with this, first and foremost, is that a thought is only ever a problem when it is believed in. Thoughts without belief, thoughts without our attention invested in them, don't have any power to sway us. Because if you have a thought of being a blue clown, I mean, that doesn't stick, that doesn't have any attachment or impact on you because you don't believe it. It is not who you consider yourself to be. It is only when you have a thought of, I'm not good enough because this happened, or I'm not good enough because I don't see these circumstances reflected in my life. Things like this that have a clear attachment point in our identity. These are the thoughts that trouble us. And so it is obvious why someone would want to be free of the thoughts themselves, but I'm asking you to don't look to be free of the thought. No. Look to know who you truly are prior to the belief in the thought, and even investigate the idea of who you think you are that is attached to the thought itself. Because not only will that free yourself of the influence of the thought by way of removing the influence, in other words the belief, then the thought will have the ability to be cleared. Thoughts will get cleared all by themselves, beliefs will get cleared all by themselves when we stop investing our attention and energy in them. It is just like a life form in this way. It only really has life force flowing through it when you feed it. And the nutrients of thoughts of the mind is attention. So yes, you may want a clear mind because this symbolizes peace. It symbolizes contentment and perhaps happiness for you. And that is what spirituality at its core really points towards. It is the opportunity for us to enter freedom, which is fundamentally the recognition of peace and happiness in ourselves, isn't it? But the key point here is to realize that what we're looking for, as has been said by teachers in the past, is where we're looking from. What we're looking for is where we're looking from. Because the peace and happiness that we seek by clearing our mind is already the nature of our being, not off in the future, not on the other side of some transformation or enlightenment, if you will, but right here, right now, in the midst of your current experience, although it may seem to be veiled by the apparent attention given to thoughts. But that is really not so important when you're able to reflect your attention back to its source. When you're able to contemplate as to what your original nature is. Because instead of 20, 30, 40 years of spiritual practice of clearing your mind, which in fact may work, yes, of course. If you work for years on end, you will be able to come to a state where more or less your mind is clear most of the time. But there is already a clarity available right now. Because you see, you can work for 30 years. Let's say your mind is a pond of water, right? You can work for 30 years with various tools and your fingers to pick out little grains of sand and dirt from this little pond, right? And yes, after years you may succeed, you may remove all the debris, everything that could ever cloud the water. Sure, you can do it. But what you could do instead of keeping your hands grappling with the freaking water, you just leave the water alone and the dust, the dirt will settle to the bottom. It is not about clearing our mind. The mind will be clear all by itself when we stop involving with it with our beliefs and fixations and our identity. Getting passionate. Yeah, so really I want you to notice that in between two thoughts, let's say, after a thought passes, and before a new thought arises, there is a space. And in this space of no thinking, no mind, if you will, there is no seeking. There is no desire. There's no need to change anything. Because you see, in that moment, that the clarity with which you were in search of is already here. Is already here. And that is why clearing your mind, or at least the attempt to clear your mind, is BS. If you want even more value, I've launched a spiritual life coaching program, which you'll find in the link down below. So if you trust me, if you think that we'll be a good match, I urge you to check it out, and I wish you all the absolute best. Take care. Bye.